and welcome to another edition of the program, The Untold Truths, broadcasting from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, let's say Sitaram Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, Sairam, and a very good evening to Master Eric. Welcome.
You know, I just want to say the same thing to everybody out there. Sitaram, Assalamu Alaikum, Sairam, and good evening, everyone. Zelisa, you know, I just love this. You know, we did a great program this morning, and now we're on the Untold Truths, and I hope everybody out there, you really enjoy what we're going through. And again, as we're going through the process of the show today, the program, WhatsApp us your questions. And also, I've been asking, and don't be shy. If there's a topic that you would love to hear and that you've never had anybody explain or had a program on it, WhatsApp it. We're going to research it, and we'll actually come up with those programs. You know, this, how we build the untold truth, it takes you too.
That's right, and I want you to know you're very much part of this program. It's been designed and created for all of us to gain knowledge. So, apart from the great knowledge that Master Eric is going to share with us, we need you to interact. Let us know your thoughts, your comments, what you think, what you expect. And of course, if at any time you may have any questions or any concerns, all you've got to do is WhatsApp at
354-4459. If it's international, it's 1-868-354-4459. And then we're going to try to get other numbers later on to where we can actually start switching the board and taking the calls. But Zelisa, you know, we had a great program this morning, and it kind of led into this. And we were talking about the different planes of meditation and how we can link to God and what are the benefits of it. Now, what is the soul? Zelisa, can you give me your little opinion on it?
When we talk about the soul, we talk about getting to the source. We could talk about soul food. We could talk about...
Oh my gosh.
There's so many definitions when you hear the word soul.
No, that's true.
So many different thoughts. Because people perceive things and they think of things differently, right? We've got 5 fingers, none are the same. So let's now give a definition of the soul, what is the soul, and of course we're going to grow from there. Reminding you to send your messages to 354-4459. Today we're going to be talking about the soul, souls, what happens, what it's all about, what it's meant to be, and so much more. So you just sit back, relax, enjoy. Tell your friends, tell your family members, The Untold Truth is on with Master Eric and Zelisa. Before we get started and you give that definition, I want to say hello to a beautiful lady by the name of Renuka in South Carolina. Darling, thank you. She's looking on and she's waiting in anticipation. Have yourself a great evening and stay with us.
So, the soul. The soul, when you hear people say you have to connect with the higher self, the pure consciousness, that is your soul. The soul is a particle. It is a direct part of God that resides within you. And see, this is, Zelisa, this is where I think a lot of people, they're not informed. They don't know the seriousness of actually knowing their soul. People will say, yes, I know I have a soul.
Right.
But do they know how to connect with it?
Well, I'll tell you sometimes, especially because I think the soul, when we say sometimes, if I'm listening to music that I really resonate with it, I would say, man, this is soulful, it's touching my soul. Sometimes, like very recently, I saw some pictures of someone that's very close to me with regards to having a health problem. And I felt it in my soul, that hurt when I saw those pictures, like a pain from within. And that's what I describe as I felt it in my soul. You know, your soul is hurting.
Your inner core.
Exactly.
And see, people, we want you to get to know the soul. But before you do, you have to know about the soul. You have to know what's its job. Why does it even exist inside of us anyhow? Some people say, well, couldn't a God not have it in us but connected with us? Well, that's kind of hard. Because if it's just connected with us and somebody breaks the connection, how is that inner feeling, that intuition that people talk about, when you get that feeling inside that, no, I shouldn't do it, you know, that wouldn't be there. And it's very important to know thyself. So then, before we even get into this, Zelisa, before you start connecting with your soul, you have to know, who am I? Yeah. And people, when you become spiritual, not religious, there is a difference. In spirituality, you start looking and questioning, and you start saying and realize, as you climb the ladder of spirituality, I am not a Christian. I am not a Buddhist. I am not a Hindu, and keep going. I am not an engineer or whatever you do. That is the personality of you. That is what you learned here on earth. And once you distinguish that I am a part of God, connected to my soul, which He has brought within myself, and you start realizing that you are a part of the higher consciousness. And when you start actually making that link with your soul, with the understanding of who you are, now we're beginning. Now you're starting to make that connection. Because the earthly events and the earthly things that we experience in life is not who you are. It is what you have experienced. So when I ask people, Zelisa, I'll say, who are you? And people say, well, my name. So you're accumulation of letters. But then, didn't you exist before they named you when you were born? See, this is what people don't understand. Now, you were a soul in the great beyond, in heaven. And then you knew you were going to be reborn. Now, many scriptures in many beliefs, not all, the scholars say that you will make a deal, a promise to God, to fulfill certain things when you're born. Okay. Now, some scholars also say that you pick your mother to come here on earth.
I've heard that.
Now, there are many variations and very many opinions. And what we have to look at, what is the purpose of the soul? Is the purpose of the soul to actually guide us? Is it to inform us if we have that connection? Is it there to make us live a straight life as much as possible? A more divine and righteous life? But the problem is now the soul is in a war with a war. It's in a constant war with the physical mind that we learn on earth from what we're taught, what we are cultures, everything else.
So what you're saying is that the soul, once it enters your body, it's pure, it's innocent?
No, the soul throughout your whole life
Yeah.
remains pure.
Okay. The soul remains pure.
Correct.
So then we are the ones that pollute the soul. Is this what you're saying to me?
You can never pollute the soul. You can pollute your personality, your physical mind. There's a difference. The soul is a part of God. How are we going to pollute God? Okay, so what we're looking at is the soul and the physical mind. So let me give you an example. You're somewhere, something happens, and then you're like, boy, should I do that or should I not? Now you're getting an inner feeling. Don't do it.
Like a discerning spirit that's saying
Right.
to you,
Don't do it. Back off. But the physical mind is trying to justify why you should go ahead and continue doing
that
it.
happens to the best of us.
Correct. So now, as we were talking about this morning, in order to link with your soul, you have to have control of your mind.
Right?
And meditation and learning the chakras and the different planes of the body. Now, so the question is now, what happens to the soul when you pass on?
Great question. I just want to remind you, you are viewing the Untold Truths with Master Eric and yours truly, Zelisa. Questions, concerns, comments, wherever you may be, anywhere in the world, feel free to send to us at 354-4459, and we will be happy to, have Master Eric explain, connect, and talk to you directly.
Now, I saw a question came up.
Great.
And I was trying to pull it up, but not deviate from the program. And it said, hello, Master, I had a question. Can Christians practice or read tarot, the tarot cards?
Great question.
Why does the Bible say divination is evil? Well, the question is, I'm not the one to say whether it's evil or not. What you do in life, you do moderately. And you do not rely on it for your divine answers. Some people believe tarots are obia. And other things that you could do, the Ouija board and all of that. The only thing is, I can't say it's wrong. Who am I to judge? But the thing is, if you start using the Ouija boards and other ones, then you are summoning a spirit that may come down and misguide you onto the board. Okay, tarot cards are a little different, but the Ouija boards, it's your choice, but I do not mess with them. If I want an answer, I go into meditation and I get my direct answers. But when you're taking a choice, when you don't really know what you're doing, you might open up a gateway and a porthole. And then a negative can come inside the porthole into your space. Then you're going to end up with a problem. Okay? So again, I can't say it's evil. Technically, the Bible can't either. It's the people who wrote the Bible, that's their opinion. The thing is, you do what you know is right. That's my answer.
Which would bring us back to the topic that we're talking about, the soul and that discerning spirit to know.
Right.
I think we all know.
So what this gentleman, what does the inside of you tell you? That's the question. Not your physical mind. What does that feeling inside feel like? What does it tell you? And go that way.
So let's go back now to the soul and what happens to the soul when you die. Your physical body is now dead, no more.
Correct. And that's the physical body.
So what happens to the soul within our bodies?
The soul, and it depends on the actual belief.
Okay.
Every belief has just a little bit different in how the soul departs the body. Now, to start, I'm going to summarize. The soul whenever you pass, it depends on your timing. Everyone's timing is different. Some people say the timing is by faith. That's not true. Everybody's timing, like the time and date you're born.
Okay.
Everybody's different.
Understood.
So timing, you cannot generalize.
So
the
let me
timing.
jump in here. It's about God's time when you're going to come into this earth.
Correct.
And it's God's time when you're going to leave this earth. What happens then when we hear of unnatural deaths? When we hear
Accidental deaths.
Accidental deaths. When we hear someone is passed before his or her time.
Mm-hmm. When that happens, before the proper timing, what happens then, when the soul departs the body, it's in a confusion. Because if it was an instant death, an accidental death, then the soul, your consciousness at that split second when you pass, don't even realize you're dead. And there's been cases to where it is around for a couple days before it understands that people can't see you. That you're able to see everybody at one time. You have semi-divine sight. So then, untimely death, that is where it is written in some beliefs that an archangel or a relative that has passed is summoned to meet and guide you into the astral realm. That's what some believe.
Okay.
The other ones believe that you will know within 48 hours that you are deceased and that you need to start going on your journey. It's a natural sense. Just like when you're born, the baby, you smack them. But the natural sense is to breathe, to cry, right? So the same thing. Remember, Zelisa, when you're born, you're dying. From the minute you're born, you're starting to die. Because the cells in your body,
that's very correct.
Everything changes. We're losing cells.
We're born.
When we die, we are being born back to our original home where we came to. This is what people don't understand. And it's not taught. So when the soul leaves the body, it is written in quite a few beliefs that when the soul departs, it's the size of your thumbnail.
Your soul?
Yes. When it leaves, and it will go out like an orb. And very few people can see it. Spiritual people can see it.
Okay.
Now, when the soul departs at that size, now, some beliefs, they have 40 days that they do the rituals for the people. You have the Hindus, they have the burial the same day or the next day, and then they have the bandara.
Correct.
Okay, and then that's a certain amount of time. During those amount of times, that is when the soul transforms into the astral body. The astral body is the physical outline of your human body in the spiritual sense.
Okay.
And that's in the astral. Now, in the transition of coming out of the body, size of the thumb, and entering into the astral body, that's when you're vulnerable.
That's when we've had conversations before with regards to people capturing that soul or that element as we speak to do negativity. Yes?
Correct. They can actually imprison the soul, enslave the soul, to do the bad work that they want done. Now,
would the soul have control then to say yes or no, or the power within the soul? I'm just asking her that, look, I am a soul, I'm dead, I need to make peace with God, I need to be in God's, in the house of God, and why are you capturing me? What is this? Do they have this sense? I'm just asking.
Well, it's not that. Now, you're looking at the soul like it's a human personality. It's not. Your human personality is separate from the soul.
The body is now
right?
dead. That person is now dead.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, some people have asked the question, if the soul is a divine particle of God, how can a human imprison that soul?
Good question.
Now that right there is an excellent question. Now, I'm going to give you an educated guess.
Okay.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it happen numerous times. The prayers that people use to imprison the soul is also partially divine. It has power. Then, the prayers, they're using it as a negative, not a positive. Now you're using one power against another power. Now, when that soul is imprisoned, or let's say before, I'll give you an example. Me and my wife, I don't know, maybe a year ago, it was COVID. We went to a funeral, very little people there. And I was invited not to watch the cremation. My job, almost like a bodyguard, my job was to ensure I did the protection mantra, the prayer, for that soul before they cremated. That way the soul is protected by a prayer. Okay, now, there was a person, and I sensed her, and she was, obliquely across from me. And she wore a huge cross, pure black. And I sensed her. And I told my wife, I said, there's one right there. She goes, what do you mean? I said, watch. I focused on her, and I started sending energy towards her. She looked up at me. She moved around.
You're talking about a soul now?
No, I'm talking about a person that's there to capture the soul.
Oh.
Okay, they're like what you call vultures, kobo. They're there to wait for that soul to depart that body.
Person.
A person. And they're saying the mantras, the prayers, to entomb that actual soul. So now we got two people. You have me and you have her.
I want to backtrack.
Okay.
This person that you saw.
And my wife saw her too.
Right.
An actual human.
Physical human.
Correct.
Dressed in black.
Pure black, which is normal at a funeral.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it looked to me like kind of a witchy outfit.
But you saw a big cross.
A huge cross on her chest. Like jewelry. I mean, I'm talking big. Okay? And I sensed her because she was concentrating directly on that body. Okay? And like I said, when I sensed her, she looked up at me, my wife saw it, and then she moved to the other side of the crowd, still concentrating on there. What I had to do is move parallel to her. So where she's looking, I'm looking back. Okay, so it was like a prayer war. Because my job is to make sure that soul departs.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to regular people at a cremation or a funeral, they don't even think of these things.
Of course.
And that's where these people have them. Then, when people come for help to some spiritual leaders, what happens then is some will say, we need to do this ritual for you. And when they do the ritual, they have the person out of their body for a little bit. Now, when they put them out of their body, now they implant two souls inside of their body for storage. And then as the person comes back into the body, they feel a little different, but not bad. They live their life, but they can't rest properly. And the reason they can't rest properly is because the person who installed them into that other individual is calling them out at night to do their work. So this person that went for help ended up being a storage facility
Trapped.
for these people.
Trapped.
Correct. And then sometimes they will go to the cemetery and capture the soul within the cemetery. And I'll have to play it for you. I don't know if I could do it on air in front of everybody. I actually have a recording of a spiritual person here in Trinidad talking to the soul and actually yelling at the soul because it's not doing what he said. And he said, I will send you back to the grave, blah, 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 at this cemetery.
Wow.
Okay, so this one was caught actually stating this in audio. Okay, and we have the visual also. So this is happening all the time. And yes, another individual just wrote and he said, like a soul mule. Yes, they're carrying the actual souls. Now, when the soul does come out of this plane and it's already developed the astral body, right? Now it has to go through what they call the Valley of the Dead. The Valley of the Dead is where it shifts. All the energies shift like this, crisscrossing across. And as the soul enters with the astral body, the energies from the Valley of the Dead as you're going through actually centers the soul properly, balances the soul. Because if you're not balanced within yourself in the astral body, how are you going to transition from the astral to the spiritual body? Correct. And the spiritual body has to be more pure. So now, before I go further, then you come up with, are there obstacles that the soul still has to go through after the person dies? And the answer is yes. There are. One, do you actually go through? So, Zelisa, I asked you on the...
You did, on the program.
I put you on the spot on TV, and I said, which one would you take with your physical mind, thinking about it? Would you take the dark tunnel or the light tunnel? And you stated at that time, the light tunnel.
I did. I said, well, I will go to the one with the light.
But if you study energy and you study positive and negative energies, you would actually, if you go into the light tunnel, light leads to darkness. If you go into the dark tunnel, the dark leads to light. In spirituality, have you ever heard when you study dreams? It's like backwards. If you dream being born, or actually a wedding, that means death.
Yeah. Correct.
If you dream death, that means a new beginning starting in your life.
The death of something and the birth of
So
something.
what I'm trying to tell everybody, what you think may be common sense in the physical mind is different in the spiritual world. And we don't want to get exchange. Now, there's another question that came in. And the question was, like, how long have drug mules transported drugs? These people are transporting souls? That's correct.
That's a good question.
And it can be indefinite until that person actually dies. Or the person who entombed them actually dies.
Now, how then can family members or friends, if you know someone died and you have a discerning spirit, or you feel they've not gone on, or they've come to someone like you saying, I've been dreaming this, or I'm feeling this, or I just have a feeling that this person is not gone on.
Mm-hmm.
How can someone like you help someone like that?
Okay.
To help their loved ones, that soul, to channel that soul to its right path, rather than stay and be used for negativity?
Okay, good question. Actually, I've done over, I'm going to guess, my wife could tell me better, over 600 cases that we've done with this.
In Trinidad?
In Trinidad alone. And what happened was, the person came in and said, I feel movement. The same thing as a demon, a spirit. Mm-hmm. And they want me to check them. Mm-hmm. Now, when I checked them, like I showed how I did it on TV and the whole belly shifts.
Yeah.
When I checked it, I said, you don't have a demon. You have 2 or 3 souls.
Wow.
Now, we set a date and time. Now, I've been trained in this, and this is why I've been asking other spiritual leaders, come and learn, because you could help your own people.
Correct.
Right? Now, what I had to do, 1, set up a spiritual mirror. Then, I actually pull out those souls. And we send those souls off on their journey without the control of the actual person that actually captured them.
Okay.
You can actually unbind them to that person. But the thing is, Zelisa, how many people would even know?
Exactly.
Okay, they're going to be laying in bed. They know they have restless nights. Some people, I had one come to me this week and said, Master, when I sleep, it feels like I'm out of my body, and then all of a sudden I'm jolting. Yeah. Like she came back into her body.
Yeah.
So I had to check her. And she has a soul inside she. That jerking was that soul that was summoned out entering back into her body. What? It's hard to understand?
It's hard to understand.
But it's happening.
It's really
Okay? Now, once the soul reaches, then some people say, okay, the soul, it goes to Hades, which Hades, in some Christian beliefs, says it's a waiting area of souls to be judged. And then you go to be judged. Some beliefs, some of the ancient beliefs, the scholars say that you do not go to Hades. That the process of the soul, how God arranged it, is that when the soul leaves the body, and as you're going through your journey, making your choices and the obstacles you have to go through, your physical life is constantly playing in front of your soul, reminding you of what you've done throughout your whole life. And it keeps playing over and over and over. And by the time you get in front of God, at that time, it states in all beliefs that your life chart is right there. Your life chart is all the good you've done, all the bad you've done. Everything's been documented. But what the ancient beliefs say is that your soul, that was you, inside you, in your physical life, can't lie because it's a part of God. So by the time you've reviewed your life, by the time you reach God, that your soul will judge yourself, and God is like the judge in court and says, I agree.
Is that what we say, your conscience? You live with your conscience?
You live with your conscience. But is it your conscience? Or what is it? So now we can link the soul.
Yeah.
What does it do when it's inside your body? What does it go through? What does it see? What does it hear? So now
Feeds
people,
the soul. What feeds the soul?
well, the soul is fed off of prana, your life force energy. But it is the one who actually kicked it off in you when you started a heartbeat in the womb. A lot of beliefs state that when the baby's heart starts to beat, the soul has entered
I was just about to ask.
the
when
body.
The soul, is it in the fetus from the time that fetus takes shape, birth?
Hold on. Now, let's say a soul was there. Now remember, I stated at the beginning of the program that some beliefs, the scholars say that you pick your mother. And the reason you pick your mother, one, they believe in their beliefs that you have to burn off karma from your past life. So you're going to pick a mother that gets you in a certain category that you're able to burn off that karma.
Okay.
Now, what if you're born and it's a wicked mother?
I'm just about to ask. Then we've got viewers out there that are thinking, why would I choose a woman who's an alcoholic, or a woman who's going to be abusive, or a woman who will have no character whatsoever, a woman who will be unfaithful? You follow what I'm saying? There are good people and there are bad people. And I'm sure there are hundreds of people out there saying, why would one choose a bad mother?
Well, let me answer that. Some sages in Eastern beliefs, which they meditate to the highest, they state that if you need to burn off karma, you would want to be born in a family that is going to be ridiculously hard to live in. And your job to burn off karma and create karma is to change them as you grow up into something better.
This is deep.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
How else are you going to burn off karma?
Because
If you came into a perfect, loving family.
Master Eric, there are situations that I sometimes ask, how can you, siblings, brothers and sisters, come from the same womb, grew up in the same home, ate the same food, went through the same difficulties or happy times or moments, and yet have hate and animosity for each other? And you question that time after time. And it happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm. So,
And why would we choose that?
that is an individual choice. But, like I stated at the beginning, you make a promise to God to complete what you're supposed to do. Now, children, babies, they remember. This is in ancient beliefs.
Yeah.
Now, people, when I say ancient, it's not that I'm saying they're the best. We have to go back to the beginnings to now. Okay? And the next programs, we're going over the earlier ones too. The ancient beliefs state that the time period of you entering the body and seeing the surroundings, that the original soul that entered the body can vacate that body before it's born. And another soul can come in
Wow.
and take over that baby's body in the womb. Some beliefs state that when, I said they state, not me or Zelisa,
Right.
because this is a touchy one.
But then how can you really protect then as a mother? How, now that you are aware that perhaps
The mother has no idea of what soul is coming into her
right.
body.
But then
She
now,
don't.
perhaps for those mothers to be, how then can they protect their unborn babies? Is there any way to do that?
One, you need to try to do a lot of prayers.
Okay.
You need to try to live a good life. But here's the problem, is that are there just good souls? Or are there bad souls too? And a bad soul may impregnate the woman during conception when the good soul left.
Good.
So now you're wondering why one child in the family would be great and the other one is the complete opposite.
Exactly. And you
Now,
know,
I'm not saying
and
this
as
is
parents-
concrete.
And as parents, you would have instilled the right morals and the right values, inculcate good mannerisms and good things. You know, you do your best, but yet, you know, as some may say, there's a black sheep. I don't want to have a stigma here, but clearly one child is just completely different from the next. And I'm not talking about looks, I'm not talking about color here, I'm talking about their attitude, their behavior. They're just different, they're really bad.
Now, so I hope people starting to get a little bit more understanding what the soul is, how it gets in. Now, why it's in your body, right? Now, we're going to go to a different category of a soul. And the different category of the soul is called the lucid self. The lucid self. Now, the lucid self, that is where the soul is within you. And the best way to describe it is if you went to a movie and you bought a ticket and you got your popcorn and you got your whatever you used to buy, and you're waiting for that movie to start, and you're sitting in the movie house and the whole movie house gets full, and you're waiting for that movie, but when the movie starts, you're like, that's not the movie. That's my life. Playing in front of everybody. Now, everybody watching tonight, what would that crowd say when they watched your movie? Now, you watching the movie is like the soul is seated within you. The soul hears what you hear, hears what you think, and views your life through your eyes. And then some people say there's a good angel and a bad angel on your shoulder.
You've heard that?
Okay. But in reality, is it your soul reporting back what it's hearing and seeing? That's the question that has to be answered. So now we've talked about that. Then we have demonic souls. And then there's another one. Do you know you have a twin soul?
Well, I've heard that.
No. You're talking a twin on earth. That's not what I'm talking about. Every person has a twin soul. You are in the physical, and your twin is in the spiritual. And you are supposed to link with your twin for guidance, because it is you, but it is the pure you up there. Then you have what they call group souls. Now, have you ever been around people, Zelisa, and your blood takes them?
Yeah.
And you just feel like you've known this person for God knows how long, right? Well, how do you know you're not one of the group souls? And how God works is if you were with them, if you believe in past lives, and you were around them, but you're different when you're then. Like Zelisa, you wouldn't be Zelisa, and you may not be from your family. You might be the aunt of your brother. You might be my aunt. You could have been anybody in your last life. And if we had a goal and a mission to do spiritual work together or to accomplish a certain thing, what group souls are is when you're reborn, and it's real wild. It's genius how God does this. He arranges it to where the group souls meet again. And our job is to accomplish and finish that mission together in this life.
Wow, this is amazing.
So, people, when you just see, the problem is, Zelisa, things aren't being taught or explained. So a common person said, yeah, boy, I got a soul. That's all he talks about. That's it. He don't even think about it anymore. But he don't understand that soul is so critical in the path and journey that you're going to take when you leave here. And you need to take the time and the investment in prayers and start, connecting through meditation and start connecting with that soul so that when you do leave here, the actual passage and path is easier. And then in some beliefs, which we'll get into later because I see the time is starting to get closer, is that why do some beliefs give items to the deceased? Like an umbrella, shoes, clothing, gold, water, food. Okay? And we'll get into that because there's specific reasons because of the obstacles that is written down throughout centuries and millenniums of what that soul has to endure on its journey. So some people say, well, we don't believe in that and we just bury them and they're sitting in the ground. Well, let me ask you a question. If it is true, how are they going to cross the world of thorns if they don't have shoes, if they're in the astral form? How are they going to absorb the heat that they go through from the 7 suns? In that spiritual world, there are the rays of 7 suns coming down on you. So they believe you should give an umbrella to shade you from the rays. Clothing, when you go through the world of cold. There are many obstacles, people, and we're going to go over that later. So the question is, now you know the soul resides within you. Now you know how the soul sees through you, how it hears through you. Doesn't it make you wonder now?
I know.
You can't be an ostrich. You can't stick in your hole and say, your head in the hole and say, if I don't see him, he don't see me. He does, because he's in the hole with you. People, what these programs are about is to give you guidance, give you information. We're not telling you how to live your life, and we never will, because we can't. We can't judge you either.
That's right.
No one on this earth can judge you. If they do, they're committing a sin. What our job is to give you the information so you can start living maybe a better life. Maybe you could start changing certain things within your life. But then the question is, Zelisa, is there such thing, and don't answer it from the physical sense,
Okay.
are there such a thing as a soulmate?
I was going to ask you that question.
Think about it. And what you think a soulmate is, it may not be. Here's the problem. When we go out, and I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real, people.
You're always real.
Zelisa, let's say you were single, you were never married, and you're back to where you're 18 years old. And you went down to the mall, and you're going down through the mall. And you see this guy across the mall. And you went, hey, hey, look at he. Right? Now, what has just started there? Is that reality or is that fantasy? I want you to think.
I'm thinking.
Now, you're thinking in your mind, I gotta get him to notice me. I just need to strike a conversation to get his number. So you're concentrating on that. Now let's back up a little bit. Remember that part. Now, in your destiny, your life is written before you're born. So on a ruler of 1 to 12, it may be inch number 3 that God said that is when you're destined to meet your soulmate. So, inch 2 3/4, we're not at 3 yet. That's when you did this. Now you strike long conversations, you're getting googly over he, and you're both starting to date and go. You're wrapping up your whole life trying to make this work. What you think from the physical sense is right for you. But during that, inch number 3 came, you're crossing it. You're so tuned into making this work that you did meet your true soulmate. But you're too busy trying to make a fantasy reality. And if everybody out there thinks about it, why is the divorce rate now 85%?
So high. And that's what I was
Because
about to
we
say
are
to you.
not waiting.
That's what I was about to say to you, Master Eric. Let's get real here in the sense that when you fall in love, you want to be with that person for a lifetime. You want to grow old. You want to create. Your dreams will now come a reality.
Speak for yourself. I'm not going to get old.
You want to start a family with that person, and your every thought is about being happy and growing together, achieving things together, creating a life together. Mm-hmm. And then when you talk about the divorce rate, we don't ever anticipate that because we want to be with this person forever, but we don't realize that like when you say we get caught up with reality,
No, fantasy.
fantasy and reality, and then we make stupid decisions.
Correct. Now, remember, I've told you from day one, never make a decision based on emotion.
Emotions.
Now, what's an emotion? Emotion is also desires. Desires trigger emotions, your senses. If you're not in control of that, people, who's guiding who? Who's in control of your
I think
life?
this is a great topic that we should talk about because a lot of people are caught up in relationships. They think or they felt at the beginning was right for them, and then it turns out to be a disaster.
Because they are not going through the proper process. And this is where knowledge comes in, and we could have a whole program on
We
that.
should.
Because a lot of people are going through this today.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to throw another one at you, people. You get married. Who are you getting married in front of? It's supposed to be God. It must be in a temple. It could be outside. But you have some type of reverend or a priest or pundit. You have somebody doing that. Ritual, the wedding, the rites to where you are bonded together. Now, it was a fantasy. So within a short time, you both are yelling divorce. So you go to court. Finally, you get divorced. Zelisa, here in Trinidad, I see divorce parties. They're throwing it.
Yeah,
They're celebrating
yeah.
that they got divorced.
Freedom.
But here's the question, people. Were you divorced by God or
Good
by
question.
man?
Great question to ask.
And does God actually accept A judge's decision? No. So here's the problem. Some beliefs on earth states that it's forbidden to get divorced. Now, why? Here's the reason. If you get divorced, you need to do what they call a spiritual cut. That will do the severance of the bond that was made by you and your spouse during the wedding before you enter a new relationship or a new, what do you call it, one night stand. Because if you do that, in God's eyes, you're still committing adultery. This is what people have to understand. What is ruled in our world, the physical world, may not be accepted by the spiritual world. And I think that's where we need to leave off today, because that would be a good topic to go into. But people, always remember, there's group souls. You have a twin soul. We have demonic souls. Demonic souls have different goals, different purposes, why they want to come back into this realm from realm 3. And is it to get vengeance? Or is it to conform and become righteous? This is another program we're going to have. Because when you talk demonic souls, it's a whole different ballgame, people. And then you'll understand why they pick certain people. And why and what they do to those people. Zelisa, you know, this hours went by fast.
It did. But,
you know,
what I want to say to our viewers, wherever you may be, near and far, wherever you are, anywhere in the world, I want to leave this with you today. Before 6 o'clock, before you started to look at this program today, this podcast, the knowledge that you learned within, that you would have gained, abstracted from the lessons of Master Eric today, or his thoughts or his comments, please, now you are richer in knowledge. Knowledge is power, food for thought. Apply the little lessons that he taught you today. And that is, you are now aware, you have a little more knowledge, you have a little more power and control to make better choices.
And one quick thing, we have a message that came in and it stated, I have done a spiritual cut with Master Eric and it was the best decision I ever made. Thank you. It helped me so much.
Oh.
So thank you for the comment. All I'm trying to say, people, once you have a little knowledge and you apply it to your life, what she was just saying, your life is different.
Certainly.
You're going to walk a different road. You're going to be happier. And next week, we're going to publish out before what the topic's going to be. But I want a topic from you. We both do. What topic would you like for us to research and provide on this program? But Zelisa, as always, it's been a pleasure being with you.
A blessing indeed.
And I want to say thank you for Anais,
Our team
tech that actually makes all of this work.
Possible.
You know, and I want to thank you, the viewers.
Certainly.
And if you want, because we're going to have another movie coming out soon too, just hit subscribe on Master Eric YouTube, and that way you'll be notified as soon as that next movie comes out. All right? But everybody, thank you so much for listening and watching.
Certainly. And allowing us into your homes, into your hearts, or wherever you may be. Be safe, be happy, be kind, be good, and love yourself. And here's reminding you that with God, all things are possible.
Most definitely. You have a great night.